Hi, welcome to another video. It's Tyrone here. This week I'm going to scan the markets. In fact, every Sunday night, Monday morning when I get in from work, I'm going to upload analysis so we can see how the methodology that I use, using common sense, makes profits consistently over the long run. Now, I'm a long-term trader. I use the monthly, weekly, daily, and occasionally the 240 and the 60 if I find an opportunity. My kind of trading or my rule of thumb is I have one strategy fits all. Now, most traders out there, they'll have a strategy for trending market, they'll have different indicators for a ranging market, they'll have a different strategy for a breakout, and this is how they learn to trade. And each methodology is different, where my methodology in the supply and demand isn't my supply and demand methodology, by the way, but the way I trade, my methodology in trading applies whether whether the market's going to break out, whether it's ranging, and whether it's trading. All I use is maybe a slightly different combination of these time frames. I might exclude the weekly, for example. If I'm looking at the monthly, I might just use a daily. I've back tested stuff on Forex Tester 2, showing supply and demand, contrarian style, trend trading, range trading. It's all pretty much the same. If you think of the chart patterns, the psychology in the market and the way the markets move, if you compare that to like learning to read music, play a piano or an instrument, and you learn to read music, the more you practice it, the better you get. And you could also compare it to a trade, like a carpenter. You know, you get the tools, which is all, you know, you've got lots of tools on there. You've got indicators, you've got supply and demand, you've got support, resistance, trend lines. These are all tools to help you trade, but if you've not been trained correctly or done your apprenticeship, you can have the best tools in the world, but you might not be able to put up the best brickwork or the best carpentry. So you need to go through all that trial and error, and that's only through hard work and chart time. So I consider myself, or has been, an apprentice, and now moved on to professional, where I make my money from the live markets. I also have a taxi company as well, so that's my main income. This is just what I'm building slowly for my retirement now. And this is the way I found to do it, and I just apply, as per my other videos, supply and demand in the most logical sense, and that is relying on what I understand in chart patterns, what I see over and over again happen. I've got a couple of little rules of thumb to stick to just to keep me on the right track. One, profit margin. That's the key thing. So within that, I need to know where my entry is, where my stop is, and where my target is. That's the profit margin. The profit margin will then work out how much my risk is and how much I can make from that. If I can see that within a pattern, then I'm going to trade it. Then all I need to do then is rely on my supply and demand on the smaller time frames, or maybe honing down the entry criteria. And what if you miss it? What if the market moves before you? You know, maybe there's ways to get in, but this is what all the supply and demand is about, and it's all about chart patterns, how to use trend lines correctly. To me, there is no one way. You just got to really understand the most recent price action. So I'm going to scan the markets now. I'm going to do this every week. I'm not going to talk like that no more. I'm not going to go into detail. As anyone that watches my videos understands that I can trade many different ways, but it's all pretty much around the same principle: profit margin, reward to risk, and a chart pattern. So on this particular account, I've got some trades on already at the moment. I've been on for quite some time. Some of these, this is mimicking my other account, but this is one I tinker about with. I don't know if I've got everything on here because I've got some setups I'm going to go through now. We'll start with the Aussie CAD first of all. Let's look at this monthly. There is a big overall range going on this monthly, but there is also the most recent two pivot points you have is here and here. But what struck me is the fact that because we've reached this high, I'm expecting to have a similar pattern here. That was all. It's just about chart patterns. That's what I was looking. So I was quite happy to get in this area Let's just close that. Get in this area and look for a trade opportunity. So all I've done is I then went down to the weekly to see what was happening, and I noticed we had these wicks where we was bouncing, and I put a trade on round about this area, and when price come back down, entered, and that was a few weeks ago, and price is moving. My target's up here. Why? Because I'm considering again that this could potentially be that pattern that's forming, a range bound pattern here, a range on the weekly. There's a pivot high, pivot low. You know, there is another pivot here, but generally that pattern, without trying to overcomplicate it, is a range type pattern. Maybe price will retrace to here and drop, and then maybe it becomes some kind of trend. I don't know, but I'm just trading that pattern. My rules are, once I'm in, I just stick to it. I've got the dollar Swiss. I'm just going to move through the ones that I've got on. I've got to put some more pairs on this particular computer because I don't really use this much, only for videos. This one I've been in a very long time. Look, right down, it almost got stopped out. This is what happened. I was trading from this area here. This is price come in, went all the way up, it's come all the way back down, almost stopped me out. But where I've got my spread of 25 pips, it didn't. With the way the spread was, the buy and sell, I didn't get stopped out, and price is moving, and it's getting pretty rapid and pretty close to my target. So let's just see what's happening on that daily. You know, I could draw some kind of trend line and start to manage this a little bit more aggressively. I'm not really thought about it. It's 360 pips. I've got another 100 pips to go. If I was to get stopped out there for 242 pips, the risk you're looking at 60. You know, it's not enough for me. I'm quite happy just to leave this. It doesn't matter if it retraces all the way down here and comes up. I'm expecting, based on this chart pattern, quite clearly you can see is ranging, the price to come up at least to here, maybe even higher, but I'll be quite happy to get to here. I'll be watching this a bit closely. If we don't suddenly spike up this week and hit the target, and we make some kind of base and push up, I'm going to manage it quite aggressively. If it's starting to push up fast, I might adjust my profit target and start to manage it. You know, so I might lift this higher and see, because this might suddenly keep going, and I might be able to manage it on some kind of smaller time frame, like a 240. So if you can imagine, price pushes up here and just keeps creating rally base, rally base, rally base, rally base levels on the 240, then I'm going to manage it on that if I'm around. If not, I'll just take the target. You know, I'm not overly worried. I just take it, and that'll be a nice. I'm not worried about the amounts here. It's just another nice win based on a reward to risk ratio. Aussie CAD. Let's jump into that one. What have I got going on there? Oh, we've done the Aussie CAD, didn't we? The CAD, did we do the CAD Swiss? Let's have a little look. The CAD Swiss. Again, look at these wicks. Oh, this is just chart patterns I'm seeing. A lot of wicks to the downside. This has started happening most recently. Price is pushed up a bit higher. However, we've got big wicks here, and this was the range. This was the level from since this big drop. That was the high point, and that is the most recent high and the most recent low up until this point. So we've not taken out this high here, so all I've done is I've put a short there. However, there is a little level created here. But in a range bound market, levels don't mean shit, I'll be honest with you. If it's going to break out from here, then this level will be a very strong level, okay, in my opinion. So I'm just going to kind of come across to here just to show you that this is potentially a level forming. However, if we hit this and it drops and takes this level out, adios. Hopefully reach that target. So no more to be said. Very simple. How do I get in? I just took the extreme of that, very low risk, and that was that. Very simple chart pattern. The dollar, Singapore dollar, I don't know if I've got that one. Let's have a look at the euro Aussie for the minute. Just drill this out, and this one. Let's get rid of these timing lines. I was using them in another video as an example. I've deleted that, I think, because I use that all the time naturally. I can just see it on the chart. It's all patterns. So what we've got going on here, we've got a rally, a base, and this is kind of, we're taking out all these levels here. Potentially, I'm going to enlarge this, rally, base, and potentially another rally. So up to here, you could look, if this breaks out, we've got room to reach to this area. Have I put a target in? I haven't. Why? Because we started to break from this trend quite a strong fashion. We could have a trend line, but just a pattern there. We may hit this and bounce back down a considerable amount. If we reach this sort of area, I'll be more happy to start to manage it maybe a little bit more aggressively if we reach this kind of area, because we're looking at about 500 pips for a risk of about 100. So I'm looking at a 4 5 to 1 by the time I reach up this area. I don't know if I want to give that all back, so I haven't got a target in just yet. I'm looking to see, and if we break that, I'm kind of thinking this might reach all the way up to these highs, if not break and continue higher. So I may have a very nice trend all through next year, you know, who knows, you know, or for a good 6 months. So I'm just trying to see what happens with the Euro Aussie, and I've got the Euro Yen, and that all the yen pairs look like they're quite strong. As you can see, very overextended. Doesn't bother me. This could keep overextending. Look what happened here. You could say this is overextended. This is nothing compared to this. So if the market is moving up, and I've got nice, got demand levels here, got demand level here. I've got one now formed. This is a demand level now. It doesn't mean it's going to work. And the reason why is because we took out that candle. It's a pivot. It's actually a pivot point now. So if we drop back down, I wouldn't lean on any levels so much. You know, the probability is just reduced. That's all it is. You know, again, it's all about supply and demand pattern as well. So if we start to take this area out, then we're going to drop. You know, so I'm not interested in trading it. Not like some people get emotional and try to keep getting in. No, time to maybe look at changing direction. However, there's no pattern for me to tell me to short this market whatsoever. We've got this trend line break. It's like a big flag, strong move up, and it's got the potential. If you look at it like this, if we measured the big, this is the overall bigger pattern. We've gone up like this, so we could copy this line and potentially it's got a move that could reach all the way up here. So this would be probably the target. too far away, so I'm going to just manage this. There might be plenty of take profits, get back in, take profits, get back in, but that would be the overall area to find a finish of this market. Wouldn't be looking to go long after that line, the 160. I know it's a long way off and you're thinking, what the fuck, you know, anything can happen. It is true, but that's the way I look at the chart patterns. I'll be honest. Could have a double top, roll over, who knows. Again, this is what trend lines are for. Keep an eye on what's going on most recently. Now I could draw a trend line like this. I could do this now from let's reduce that. And so we went like this, we broke it, you know, or I can do this now. I like to keep an eye on the pattern. This is more of the pattern for me right here. Okay, so I'm still buying. If it breaks this, I'm expecting probably a bit bigger, maybe a bit bigger retracement, you know, like we've got here, some red candles down, you know, before we maybe hit this level and bounce. But I can't do nothing until we form more weekly demand levels to get on board the trend, unless there's some chart pattern. So I had an order here, as you can see, nearly got stopped out, but look at the way the market moves. That's why I talk about this 25 fucking pip wiggle room, okay, below the low of the level, and the level was here. So I ain't shitting you. Look, if this was the level, I wasn't interested in this. I think I might have gone below the low, but we're looking down somewhere in the region of 20, same 21 pips. It was lower than that. I'm not sure what's happened. I might have judged it, but it's always 25 pips below that low. Let's see what that low was, because I don't want to lie to anybody. 13185, and the euro 13160. Yeah, so it's 25 pips exactly below this low. Okay, and we almost got stopped out, or I almost got stopped out, and price went up. Now I say we because I've got family members that trade along with me, by the way. Yeah, I don't just do this on my own. I've got family members now teaching my son to trade correctly, and hopefully he'll learn. Right, a couple of ones I'm looking for now that I'm waiting for trades to happen. The Euro Swiss. So let's see if I've got it. First of all, I've got an order on right here, and there's a profit target. Why? because we've got this big support area, resistance area, you should say support, that was now resistance, and I just want to make sure that I get out before that. If it keeps going, I'll get back in again. You know, let's take out that area. What's going for me? Quite simply, we're in a trend. We've got monthly. This is now monthly demand. Why? Because this candle just took by a few pips. You can see it on the weekly here. You can see it on a daily. Just took it out. Took this out by a few pips. That's it. This is now demand. Monthly, weekly, and daily right here. And that's why I'm trading right here. But I'm not going to have a huge. I mean, look, you can see on the monthly. You know, 60 odd pips for only about 348, so it's not too bad. You know, getting over 5 to 1, I'm quite happy with that. So I've reduced that risk down a little bit. If I don't enter, I don't enter. If I get stopped out, I get stopped out. Who gives a fuck? You know, gone well past that. Dollar CAD. Looking at dollar CAD. Look at this. We've got this overall big downtrend, but it isn't, in my opinion. This is more of a flag pattern. I could do this, which we've got more room to drop. But look at this candle, you know, it's just telling me that we could well be ranging here. This sort of pattern, this is a flag pattern. We've got this overall big level that I'm not really interested, but I'm just saying to you that it did bounce from this area. It's bouncing again. I've got a target in this area. Common sense. I don't want to be too greedy. I'm quite happy if that. Look at my risk to my reward. This is what it's all about. 80 odd pips, say, for 600 odd. Again, you know, well over 6 to 1, as you can see, 7 to 1 plus. Now, so what am I doing? Look, the monthly trend actually is down. I'm doing opposite. Well, I'm not really paying too much attention to the weekly, actually, to get into this. It was more on the daily. And what it was what I've got set up here is, or should say not was, but is this level now. We've taken out this high. Well, it's really this high here. It's popped up. So this is the nearest demand. Supporting it, which didn't make too much difference, but I like this, is I've got the weekly demand. So, and it's right down in the weekly. Even higher probability that if this weekly holds, not only the daily, the weekly, the monthly turning point, look at that wick, you know, high chance of reaching this target, if not higher. And in fact, if we zoom out, this to me, potentially, this is the flag pattern. Where could that go? You know, it might take a long time getting there. There might be all sorts of shit going on. It might not reach nowhere near that. But that to me is some kind of flag. If we was to drill it like that, what does it look like? A lot stronger now. And this is a flag. You know, patterns. Love the patterns. Doesn't mean it's going to work. Like I said, who cares? It starts to change. I look for new patterns. I can find patterns on the weekly. I mean, look, we had a flag pattern on the weekly. Exactly this. This is the measured move. And if we copy that across, expecting it to go down to here. This is following the weekly pattern, by the way. So price could still come down. There was nothing to say that can't come down. But I'm not going to fight the fucking monthly, because the weekly says there's a pattern. If it lines up with the monthly, maybe I'll go for that. But you know, to me, this is the move, the strong move up, and this is a retracement. You know, the impulse is to the upside. This is the flag. The flag is the market pausing essentially before a move up. So, and they don't always work. Hence this, and look at this. Look at the distance here. I mean, the actual flag is bigger or longer in time than the distance it dropped down here. You know, it's not like a, you know, the longer this is, you know, the less likely it is to go, you know, in my opinion. As in this, very quick, this isn't too long, you know, so I'm expecting that kind of move. And let's move on then. Enough of that. Let me see what else was I looking at. I've got the, oh, you can see this, what's this one on? Don't even know, it's on 194. Let's have a little look What else have I got? Let's just go for, I've got this one, dollar, US dollar, Singapore dollar here. Again, chart patterns. This is a strong move up from this area. We've made a high, so but price is right down into this. There's no real supply, no rally base drop supply, you know, into this area. So huge profit target. I didn't necessarily wait for the weekly to align because this is a range, and what I'm actually in this as well. So what I've done, and if we look, this looks, and you see the little level there. I've already drawn this one in. This is where it's bounced from. This is what I was interested in, not so much just a daily. It's a 240 level. So I was watching price, and I go with the London and New York. You've heard me talk about. Here was the London candle that I saw, and the New York one is here. So it's pretty much the base of this London candle right here. If I drop it to a 60 and drill that down, see this lovely little level? This is what I was interested in. But price might not have reached it, so I wanted to get in early. There was also some other levels. Where were they? Strong moves somewhere. I think I was spotting. I think it was just because of this move up from here, potentially that price might bounce before it gets down. But this was the one that I was really interested in. This lovely little 60-minute level, and my stop should be below there, 25 pips below that level. Okay, so that's how I've done it, literally from that 60-minute level, and price has already rallied from there. Let's have a look. I want to just go down and find out if I've got anything else. Pound New Zealand. Have I got a Pound New Zealand on this? Now let me just go and set one up. Let's get the old Pound New Zealand. This is another order. Profile. I'll put that on this computer. Right, so this is the Pound New Zealand. We've had the pattern here, though. Essentially, this could reverse. Don't get me wrong, but the trend is up. We're taking out this high. This is demand. We've got this beautiful demand level formed, not too far away from taking that high out, and I've got a lovely daily demand. But why is my order up here? This is my, again, this is about like reading music, about reading price. If this is going to push, and it's going to push fast, I've done a measured move on this weekly. I'll show you. I expect strong push, then it might have a bit of a retracement. That's what I'm kind of expecting. But because of these, if that's going to happen, the big candles, we've got a big weekly candle, we've got big dailies. If this starts to stretch all the way back down to this area, which is a weekly / daily, this is going to produce, and it's right near the end of the month now, it's the 23rd of October. This is going to produce a rather large wick on the monthly, which could be a rejection of this area. So this is how I'm reading it. If it's going to work, price is going to move pretty quick, and it's going to move pretty quick this week. Otherwise, I don't want to trade it, you know. So my level has been drilled down to 240.60, which I'm going to drop to now 240. Now we've got these on the 240, and I'm thinking price could reach all the way down here. Definitely could. I could get stopped out, taking a gamble there. But this is the level that I've got to lean on. I'll be honest. This is the level where price should turn from. I'm not interested in this lower level. Once it starts to drop low, I'm not interested. This is where price should turn from. But following, and this is like the contrarian style, once these levels are broken, where do I expect price to turn? Well, I've got this 60-minute level right in here, very similar to what this is a setup before it's happening. Whether it will work, I don't know. This is a 8 o'clock / 9 o'clock move. And then the Americans pushed it down on this candle, or just the Brits kind of into the American session, and then suddenly the Americans took it up higher, and then it ranged, and then the eastern market started coming in and continuing this move. Now I'm expecting the market sometime today to push down, which will be the Americans, all the Brits and the London Open to get into here, and then the Americans take it further. You know, that's kind of what I'm looking at. It may be on Tuesday where it dwindles down, gets into here, then the Brits take it up further. But I'm expecting the Brits, us London boys, to bring it down into this level for us to buy again with the Americans. Because the Americans, normally what will happen, it will swing. Brits and Americans, they bounce the market back and forwards until breakout areas and they join forces, in my opinion. So I'm expecting psychologically the Brits to bring it down where they've got their orders here, to add to it again, and the Americans will also know that, because fuck me, HSBC, all the banks, you know, they're not just British banks and American banks, they're combined. So all they're doing is playing the market. Anybody trading in this area is going to get fucked. Anyway, we'll see what happens on that. It's my professional opinion. Let's have a look for the Aussie yen. Have I looked at that one already? So I'm bouncing about. Have I got the Aussie yen? Let's clean this up a bit. Yeah, look, we're on a nice uptrend. Trend line here has been broken. Trend line, this bigger chart pattern here, plenty of room. So profit margin, you know, could go up much higher. But look, I always tend to, once I'm over about sort of 7-8 to 1, I tend, you know, I take my profits. Unless I'm around watching it, I might increase that and start to ride the trend, let it develop. So we've got this level on the monthly right here form now. Well, enlarge that. Why is that a level? Rally, base, like red candle, and this green a rally. Now just because we've got a wick, it doesn't mean I'm going to look for shorts. You know, I don't read the wicks only in the right place. You know, it's the chart pattern at the end of the day. Now, so that I'm expecting that this is a base, and it's going to continue. So it's very early. We've got a weekly level we're bouncing from right here. This little rally, base rally. We've hit it already, bouncing. So what have I got? I've got this daily level right here. This is what I've got. Market's opened here. It's a 2-hour candle, but pretty much this is a solid candle up. So this is to me a daily level because the market's opened here. So we've pushed above here. So beautiful level. I'm just gonna. It's so close to it. Where am I going to put my order? Right there. I don't get to drill down to 60 minute or 240, do I? Why? You know, there's no point me now starting to drill down and go, right, when the fuck was the London? Oh, I don't know about that. Might be down here somewhere. You know, I don't care. It's a daily level. When I get daily levels and they're like that, following a trend, I'm just going to take it. If it don't work, then price is probably going to pull back and retrace for a little bit. If we look at the bigger picture on the monthly, you know, the real big picture, we could say a trend line's been taken out here. So this could be starting a downtrend, but you know, like I said, there's room to the upside. That I'm not looking at this huge pattern to decide what I'm trading today, but that's what could be happening. The other thing that could be happening, because that's broken, we could be now bouncing from here. This is more what I can see now, so more range bound on the bigger picture. So chart patterns. And we could maybe draw a weekly trend line, you know, look nice. Do I want to be selling? No, the fuck I don't, not at the moment. Right, I think I've done everything. I think I've looked at everything. I've got the CAD yen, same thing here. Price is up, monthly level. I've got an order to go long on here. We've already, this was a bit of a little rally, base rally on the weekly. Why? Because I can look at an X-ray snapshot. This area is, to me, a basing kind of area. There's too much activity going on. So if we look at the low of that level, just so you can see that wick there, 8747. What does that look like on the daily? Where is it? 8747. It's around that sort of breakout area. A load of messier, sudden push up, a retracement, and then a push. So You know, that's kind of my weekly area. It's not very, it's in between the two. It's very difficult to see between the weekly and the daily, but that's how I've looked at it from that candle. This is a bigger strong and hold. This one didn't so much, bit more of a pause and then up. So I've got an order to go long here, and this looks a bit messy, but the market's come down. This would be more like a doji, because we've got this. This is when London opened. It's only a 2-hour candle, but if you can put that into that, you can imagine that this is more like a doji. But look at the size of it. I can't really call it a drop base drop, because it's part of the whole basing area. It's not really made a pivot. It's coming down. The price is moving up, by the way, with demand's in control. Demand's in control here. Also, this is now changed, by the way. This is the reason why I put this order on. Look, we've took out these candle highs. So this is now the weekly demand. And again, this is looking ahead. You know, you want to be not like lagging indicators, and that's what most supply and demand is. It's too late. You've got to look at it being created. We've taken that out. That's what this daily's done. But it's the weekly chart that's saying, look, if this starts to roll over, I've got this pivot. And if you watch my videos and back testing, when you start to join the two pivots, there's a good chance that this is going to keep dropping. So this is the only area I want to get in. If not, I'm out. Where's my profit target? Up there. Why is it all the way up there? Why the fuck is it all the way up here? Bigger chart pattern. Let's have a little look. We've got this kind of going on. Maybe this. If this is gonna work, for instance, this is just a fake out right here. So if this holds like this, and we've also got these two peaks. This is the chart pattern as it stands at the moment. This is higher than what this chart pattern is. You know, I've got to be careful. Why have I got this? I'm expecting, though, price like these wicks, like these. It tested. This was these points here. Price has come through. I'm expecting it to go through. But what I will do is manage this trade very aggressively. But I'm expecting price is also in a channel like this. You know. This is what I'm on about, the little fake outs here, you know. So I'm expecting it to reach this area quite easily. However, I will manage it maybe on the daily. I'm just setting these up like this so I can see the big picture. Maybe manage it on the daily, because look at these moves. If you was trailing the daily levels, you know, you end up getting stopped out from a move from down here up here. Retracement, again, nice daily levels. So I might have exactly the same coming up to this area. It might be the weekly levels that I trail, because I've not had any on the way up. Big move, flaggish pattern down, big move. But it might be the weekly levels that I trail all the way up to here. Maybe get aggressive in this area on the daily. And that's how I analyse the markets, by the way. I'm talking through how my logic in my head is, and that is what I understand. I mean, I'm so confident at this anyway, because of back testing, because of not in that, actually trading the live markets the last few years, just getting better and better. And it's just like reading music and becoming a better musician. And the rules are following the same logic in my head. So I'm not looking for, I'm not one of these strict rules. Only can do that, can do that, can do that. I do have strict rules, like the supply and demand being in a line, only trading at extremes. But the pattern overall is what rules where I want to be getting in, and then when I want to be getting out, so I can see my risk reward. And then the rest of it's down to skill and practice, from the right down to the 60-minute levels or the 240-minute levels. But that's pretty much it. I think I've shown you all that I really want to trade. There is a couple of I think another yen pair. So the yen's definitely looking long. You know, anything you buy against, or the yen is looking to short actually, but anything you buy against the yen, you should be going long, in my opinion. But that is it. So we'll see what happens over the next year or so, because I'll just bring one of these videos out once a week. The others will be much quicker, because we'll just see what's happening with trades that have gone on, any stop outs, and any other future setups. That's it, guys. Safe trading. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up, and yeah, be profitable.